ਇਹ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਸਰੋਤਿਓ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੁਣ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਰੇਡੀਓ ਸਪਾਈਸ 88 FM।
ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਹੈ। ਹੁਣ ਦੱਸੋ ਸਾਰੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਕੀ ਹਾਲ ਚਾਲ ਹੈ। ਨੌਜਵਾਨੋ ਮੇਰੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਪਛਾਣੋ, ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਿਆਰ, ਵੱਡਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਸਤਿਕਾਰ ਹੈ। ਮੈਂ ਕਾਮਯਾਬ ਬੰਦਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਕਰਾਂ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤਾਂ, ਸਿਖਾਵਾਂ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਖਾਣ ਲਈ ਬਣਾਉਣੀਆਂ ਸੌਗਾਤਾਂ। ਨਵੇਂ ਮੁੱਦਿਆਂ ਤੇ ਰੱਖਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਡਿਬੇਟ, ਫਰਮਾਇਸ਼ ਕਰਾਂ ਪੂਰੀ ਕਦੇ ਖਰੀਦਾ ਨਾ ਲੈ। ਮੈਂ ਪੂਰਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਨਾ ਪੱਖ ਖੜਾ, ਨਾਲ ਸਦਾ ਸੱਚ ਤੇ ਝੂਠਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਭੇਤ ਖੋਲਦਾ। ਓ ਮੈਂ ਰੇਡੀਓ ਸਪਾਈਸ ਬੋਲਦਾ, ਓ ਮੈਂ ਰੇਡੀਓ ਸਪਾਈਸ ਬੋਲਦਾ, ਓ ਮੈਂ ਰੇਡੀਓ ਸਪਾਈਸ ਬੋਲਦਾ, ਓ ਮੈਂ ਰੇਡੀਓ ਸਪਾਈਸ ਬੋਲਦਾ।
ਰੇਡੀਓ ਸਪਾਈਸ 88 FM।
ਤੇ ਲਓ ਜੀ, ਬੜੇ ਮਾਣ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਹ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਅਸੀਂ ਹਾਜ਼ਰ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਕਰੀਨ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਫੋਟੋ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ NRISU ਯੂਨਿਟ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਟੈਲੈਂਟਡ ਆਫੀਸਰਸ ਨੇ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਟੀਮ ਮੈਂਬਰਸ ਨੇ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਵੀ ਚਰਚਾ ਹੋਏਗੀ। ਲੇਕਿਨ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਚਰਚਾ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਮੈਟ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਮੈਟ Morena, how are you today? Kete pe hakoe.
Thank you for having me on.
Wonderful. Matt, this is a very hot topic at the moment. I'm not just talking about the South Asian community, but the overall picture of this beautiful nation. Retail safety never been so much concern as we compare to these days. So what is your understanding, according to your role, the real definition of retail safety these days in New Zealand?
It's a two-way street. It's the police have a job in relation to catching and holding those offenders to account, and as do the retailers have a responsibility there to report crime to police, and to make their location as safe as possible, and to less of a target for offenders to go to.
I understand. In the meantime, when we're talking about retail safety, how about the trends these days? It's increasing or decreasing, and what are the factors behind if it's decreasing?
So ram raids are decreasing. We've seen that decrease quite steadily. There's been a huge investment in the retail crime prevention program, $25 million taken from proceeds of crime, over 1,000 stores completed in New Zealand with bollards and fog cannons and others. So really good initiative that has been rolled out. Aggravated robberies continue to be a point of concern for police. Those are focused on by a criminal investigation branch who do a fantastic job and resolve the vast majority of those for people. So we appreciate that they cause a lot of harm to the individuals within those stores, and also the wider community around. There's a lot of fear that those inspire from people. So we solve those a lot. Your general thefts and shoplifting continue stubbornly to increase at a slower level, and these are our own facts and figures that are publicly available online. But we're doing a lot to combat that, and working with industry, working with business associations, retail, and trying to get them to understand the criminal landscape.
Wonderful. In the meantime, are there any high-risk areas for retail crime in the country?
The retail crime is largely a metro problem. So as I'm sure you can understand, Waikato and the upper north are in Auckland, but we also see patterns in Christchurch and Wellington as well. So
last year,
there are some patterns of metro. Certainly, it's a metro crime. We do see it in the regions, but it's predominantly a metro.
Okay. Looking at the ram raids, there are a few other incidents. We call it burglaries, shoplifting. So what measures do you recommend for preventing shoplifting and burglaries?
Well, there's a lot. But what I would recommend is that New Zealand Police have a retail crime hub. And I would recommend that people go on to that, and if they just search New Zealand Police retail crime, that will be the first thing that comes up. And there are a whole lot of resources on there, and a whole lot of crime prevention through environmental design tips and ideas that I would strongly advocate that they consider. Most of them are low cost or no cost. But like I say, there's a lot of information on there. I'd recommend that they go and have a look.
That time has been changed. We can see that the technology is actually You've taken over everything. So what kind of security systems you recommend to prevent this retail crimes?
It really depends on retail crime is you've got theft right the way to aggravated robbery and more serious crime as well.
Exactly.
For your aggravated robbery and your burglary overnight, and for some of those high-end ones, fog cannon is absolutely one of the best tools that you can have.
Okay.
But I need to advocate that those fog cannons are charged, that they're able to be used, that the pendants are being worn by your retail staff, and that they are plugged in and operational. All too often at the moment, we are seeing people, making poor decisions around those fog cannons, but they need to be there. They need to be used, and they are good at deterring. For those of you that aren't aware, fog cannons are not designed to trap somebody in the retail space. They're designed to push them back out the front where they actually came from. So there's a misconception there around how they actually work.
When I'm hearing this statement, actually, how often should a store conduct security audits or assessments?
Regularly. If I owned a store, I'd be doing it certainly on a monthly basis.
Okay.
And you can use, there's a checklist online on that Retail Crime Hub that you can use to give you some ideas around what that is. But certainly, talking to your staff to combat the fear of retail crime is a really big thing. That will help with their own mental health, and that will help with the retention of staff within businesses as well. We always say you need to have a plan and then train that plan for the what if, and that will really help with your staff.
You'll be meeting a bunch of retailers working in Hunters Corner area, which is mini India, I would say. So targeting the South Asian retailers in the country, they're small to middle order kind of retailers or entrepreneurs working very hard, 14 hours sometimes a day with their family. So are there any government programs or grants available to help businesses improve their security?
There's the NBIE fog cannon program is still running, so that's available for the small businesses, and anybody can apply for that. If you're a victim of an aggravated robbery or a ram raid, the police team, the Retail Crime Prevention Program, will be in touch with you, usually the day after, if not that within 2 days.
Okay.
We will send an assessor out to your property and install things like fog cannons or roller doors, basically anything that you need, CCTV upgrades, all of those kinds of things. So those are definitely available. So the NBIE fog cannon can be applied for.
Yep.
The Retail Crime Prevention Program for police is after you're a victim of serious crime.
Just a basic question. What is the best way to report the retail crime?
We have recently updated our 10.5 online reporting for a specific retail form. So I would suggest that is the fastest, most efficient way, and it goes to the same place. A lot of people think that they need to ring 111 or they need to ring 10.5 because they get more priority. It's not the case. Everything goes to the same single point of truth, if you like.
So how quickly and this report can get the response?
Depends on a lot of factors. You should get a response relatively quickly from an automated response, but as to when and if, I would hate to speculate exactly on that.
There's another question about the awareness. What sort of evidences they should collect, the retailers should collect when they're reporting this matter before the police arrive, actually?
CCTV is a must for us. And certainly from the high-end crimes, we will want things like DNA and fingerprints. So consider preserving the scene. So just removing customers and that kind of stuff from there as well. But really the thefts and that kind of thing, CCTV is the really most important thing. And if you've got time, print out a receipt of the item stolen, because we need that as well for the court hearings and stuff as well. So
I agree. In the meantime, when we're sitting in ethnic advisory meetings, we always face this question that why people not reporting the incidents. We are trying our best to maintain the trust between the community and the police. But in the meantime, I would love to ask, looking at the joint venture, how can the retailers and the police jointly work together to stop the repeated offenders?
So that's a relationship, as you said, between police and local retailers, and it's really held at that local level. At my national level, I meet with all the national big retailers and stuff like that, but the individual small owner operators, they need to be in direct contact with their local police.
Yes.
And please, if you get any listeners that aren't in contact, I'd be very happy to facilitate that with their local police, because the local police will know who the offenders are in their area and can share the trends and the knowledge and give them some advice So really, it's like you said, it's a joint, but it's really a relationship between your local police staff and yourselves. So like I said, if you're having any issues with contact, please, you can get in contact with me in relation to that.
You've been working in this section from a long time, actually, and especially very close relationship with the retailers from last few years. What are your recommendations to for the retailers to stop the repeated offenders?
The most important thing you can do is, and I've said this before, is just engage with everybody that walks into the store very early on. It's really important. Offenders tell us all the time.
You know the locals, eh?
Yeah, offenders tell us all the time they don't want to be spoken to. They just want to go about their criminal behavior undetected and unnoticed.
Yes.
You are not going to deter everybody. That's not possible. Some people would continue to offend even if there was a police officer standing at the front door. But for the absolute vast majority, simply engaging with them right at the front of that interaction before they've even had a chance to get anything in their hands or anything like that, that is the most beneficial. Studies also show that they're less likely to be violent the earlier you meet with them as well.
Yeah. You use the word violence. In the meantime, this country is not the same. But being part of the New Zealand police, what is your recommendations when they're actually trying to diffuse a situation? If there's a violence occurs in a store or in a retail environment, how can we de-escalate the situation?
If violence is occurring, you need to keep yourself and your staff and your customers safe above everything else. Above property, it's not worth it. They will. The idea would be just to take everybody to a place of safety, and then the offenders can just leave. By all means, you should have a conversation with them, but if it escalates to violence or aggression and intimidation, then no, that's not something.
It's good to engage them in the conversation. Engage
them in a conversation, but if it escalates, then really engage your safety plan for, like I say, your customers and your staff. And that may be that you get everybody out the back and the offender can leave. And at that point, it's about evidence gathering for us to then hold that offender to account.
I was reading actually about your team, Matt's team of 7, Supervisor Sergeant Matthew Murray, 3 investigators, an intelligence support officer, an administration support officer, and Matt, a former senior sergeant, started with nothing. So how's your journey so far?
So that's actually needs updating. That's changed a little bit. We now have 4 investigators and 1 intelligence support officer, myself and another sergeant who's not Matt Murray anymore. So we focus on the offenders that are offering violence and aggression to shopkeepers in the retail space on a theft space.
Okay. Wonderful. So let's praise this wonderful team, and I'm very hopeful on the behalf of my community living in this side of the world, this side of the nation, and let's catch up with our brothers and sisters waiting outside for you in a meeting. You want to say some other recommendations, or you want to say something to our community?
I just think that
working hard out there as a retailer,
working really hard in a really tough fiscal environment, and you're all doing the absolute best. And I think just keep it up, and we will get there. I'm confident of that, like you.
Wonderful. And you keep up good work, Matt. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wonderful. ਦੋਸਤੋ ਇਹ ਸਨ ਮੈਟ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਰੀਟੇਲ ਸੇਫਟੀ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਰੱਖ ਰਹੇ ਸਨ। ਰੀਟੇਲ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਰੀਟੇਲਰਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਆਪਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਾਬਤਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਸ਼ਾਨਦਾਰ ਰਹੇ। ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕਲਸ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਮਿਕਸ ਐਂਡ ਮਿੰਗਲ ਹੋਵੋ। ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਵਾਇਲੈਂਸ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਚੱਲਦੀ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੰਗੇਜ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰੋ। ਸਿਚੁਏਸ਼ਨ ਨੂੰ ਡੀ-ਐਸਕੇਲੇਟ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਚਰਚਾ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਸੀ। ਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਜਲਦੀ ਮੈਥਿਊ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਇੱਕ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਰੀਟੇਲਰਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬਾਹਰ ਹੰਟਰਸ ਕਾਰਨਰ ਇਲਾਕੇ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਸ਼ਾਪਕੀਪਰਸ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਸਟੂਡੀਓ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਨਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਰੋਮਾਣਾ ਵੀ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਬਾਤਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਮੈਟ ਹੋਣਾ ਦੇ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਉਸ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਜਾਣਗੀਆਂ। ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸ਼ਾਮਲ ਹੋਣ